Hello again, welcome back. This is, I think, video 2 or 3, I'm not sure which, of a series where I'm going to be replying to Q&As from my Instagram stories. I think in my previous video I was talking about onboarding and that whole process. I got a lot of questions about that. But another subject that I really quickly wanted to touch up on was giving, like, what to give away for free versus what to charge for. So I know it's all about the free opt-ins and free courses, and the top of the funnel is all about free. But for people like myself, where at the moment I'm doing a lot more consulting than I am content creation. Well, I'm doing about 50-50, but I'm doing more consulting than I have been. I've noticed that people aren't necessarily valuing or putting necessarily a time price on your services. So I'll have a quick conversation with someone and I'll give them ideas for the next sort of month of blog posts, or ideas for their strategy that they weren't necessarily paying for. And like, I've gotten out of the habit of doing that, but very early on I was just kind of giving everything away for free, and then when it came to trying to charge for consulting services, they were kind of like, well, how is this different from what we're already doing? So I was kind of consulting for free, and a lot of like copywriting and things like that, which I've been doing for years. And more clients would then start asking me to come up with the ideas to put into it, and me to come up with the things to put in the strategy, because they like mine better. But it wasn't really part of the paid for services, so I was just kind of giving all that away for free, and that's obviously consulting that I charge for. So yeah, what I would recommend is, so to just sort of piggyback on the last video that I've just done, if you're having a meeting, make it really clear that where your consulting or starts/ends, and where the sort of free service sort of ends. Because you could be in a conversation with someone and just start giving away a load of free advice. I mean, for certain sectors this is problematic. So if you're in the legal sector and you start giving away free advice, it can imply, or health, and you're giving away health advice, it can kind of imply that you've established a kind of a relationship. So you want to make sure that you're not doing that in those kind of sectors, but also in areas where you're trying to get paid, but you're offering services for your knowledge and your expertise. That's where you should really be drawing a hard line. So try to keep calls that are not being paid for logistics. So how are we going to go about implementing this, and this, which we have already discussed? How do we go about, like, what's the next step? What's the process? What's this? What's that? And make sure that you're sort of getting paid prior to having, or included in, I know Calendly, for example, does paid sessions. So if you have someone either on a retainer, or you have someone who you've already spoken to, you can send those links. They can pay for it straight away and just sit and have a strategy call with you, and do that. At which point, to your heart's content, show them exactly what you're made of. But I would avoid having free calls where, especially if you have clients who are constantly trying to sort of ask more and more of you, I would try and avoid that. So when it comes to sort of what's the stopgap, the way I've kind of for opt-ins and things like that, where you're writing as opposed to having a conversation, is talk about the whys, the benefits, and how it can help, what the benefit is, how this problem can be solved. The kind of high level stuff should be free. So if they kind of go, oh yes, I'm having this problem, why should I fix it? Because my business will be more efficient, or because, it will give me sun care protection, or whatever it is. But the whys, the hows, and the benefits should be free, because that's the kind of thing that you can search, and literally anyone can give you the answer on Google. If they were going to, they've probably searched on Google to find you. So information about what it is, educational based stuff, should kind of be the free entry point of their problem. And then the next phase, which is where I kind of tend to draw the line on paid stuff, is the sort of what next. Anything that is a what next, or how am I going to make that a reality? What ideas do I need to do? What specifically works for my business? So not generic advice, not the type of thing. If you can't, especially if you've got a specific experience or expertise, things like that. So for example, I have a lot of experience in the tech sector for consulting and content creation about what works and what doesn't. A lot of that will be part of the strategy that is paid for. Now I can wax lyrical about why it's important to have a content strategy. I can talk about, 5 free ways to do this and this, that and the other, but when it comes down to the nitty gritty and the sort of the stuff that's going to make a real difference, that is sort of what goes behind the paid wall. Now, for the paid sort of free divide, that's not to say that your opt-ins shouldn't be valuable or that what you're providing for free shouldn't be valuable. It's just what you're providing for free should kind of be a general knowledge perspective versus your own expertise and your own specifics. So for people with a lot of experience, this will be quite easy because it will be what you kind of learn initially, and what everyone is teaching will be the free aspect of it. And then the paid aspect will be how you've personally created success. So if I were going to look at it from a course point of view, you could have, how to set up X, Y, and Z, which everyone can do, but you're doing it in your own way. And if someone finds you, it's because you're, catering specifically to them, their niche and their problems. But then the next step of that is how their specific business, how their, specific product, services, etc., how they are going to make it work. And then you're a lot more hands-on and things like that. So don't give away too much for free, because people will pay for it. And if the more you give away for free, the more valuable you have to be for paid. And I know not everyone likes to look at it like this, but I've seen it a lot, and I've done it a lot actually, where I've tried to be as valuable as I possibly can for free every single time I've had a meeting. And it's gotten to a point where I've had 6 or 7 meetings with someone and I've not been paid for any of it. And I mean, it's half hour, 45 minutes at a time. And that is a lot of time wasted. And they're coming to me because they want this expertise and because they don't know how to do it. They don't know how to get it. And the advice that I'm giving them is good because they're coming back time and time again. But I'm not charging for it. And, so take it from someone who knows and who's done it and who's been there. People will take advantage if they can. Why pay for something if you can get it for free? But if you have got the experience and your services are good and your products are good, then have faith in that people will pay for it. And, do the free, do the lead and do the funnel, and then make sure that you keep, all of the stuff that you like, the things that you've learned and the things that other people won't be able to teach. Other people who, I don't want to say fraud's a bit of a dodgy word, but some people literally go on Google and go, right, because I've Googled it, I'm now an expert. And all they're doing is they're selling and they're getting paid for the types of things that people could just Google themselves. The amount of people's like courses and things like that where you could just Google it and the information is there, but other people don't want to do that, so they're paying for it. So if people are willing to pay for stuff that they could Google and find out elsewhere, then they're going to be willing to pay for the expert services and the advice and the consulting and everything else that you can provide. So don't worry about that. But yeah, that's where you should kind of draw that line between free and paid. And I think I touched on this earlier. When you have new clients, don't let an onboarding or a discovery call or something like that turn into a consulting service. And a lot of clients have said to me, well, how do I know? How do I trust you? And my answer is, well, we can either do like a money back guarantee, or we can do 50% now, 50% later. I can set you up with some of my clients. I can set you up with other people that I've worked with to kind of prove I'm legit. But I'm not going to sit here and give you everything on a silver platter for you to just kind of walk away with. I've done it a lot in my career. I've done it with copywriting as well, where on Upwork, for example, they like to do tests. And it's sort of like, because there's a lot of people who have a really good profile, but they've gotten someone else to write that profile. So then they get hired and then you get left with some really rubbish work. So I've done tests and then they've turned around and said, oh no, this is awful. I don't like it. No, I'm not paying you for it. And I'm like, okay, if you say so. And then because I'm nosy, it's ended up on their website. And so that one really stung. I won't out who it is, but yeah, I did an entire, I've learned from this, but I did an entire homepage as a test copy, sent it to them, and they withdrew the milestone request, basically said that it wasn't any good, closed it and sort of denied and got rid of the project, etc., so that I was no longer officially hired. And then a couple of weeks later, I got sent this by a friend of mine who knew that I'd written it. Yeah, and it became their new homepage copy. And to be honest, there wasn't a lot I could do about it because I'd sent it to them. I'd given it to them as a test, and I knew it was a test, but I just didn't protect myself in that way. So even if it's whether you're consulting or whether you're providing a service or things like that, make sure that you are getting paid for your hard work, and that the things that you offer for free are not undermining the things that you are trying to get paid for. I just thought that was a really important lesson that I learned over the years, and I feel like that's something that anyone starting out, or even not starting out, anyone, can be taken advantage of, and I don't want that to happen. So yeah, that is kind of like a piggyback off of my previous video. But I will leave it there, and I will get to some more of the questions. I need to dig out some of the other questions that were asked. Yeah, and I'll speak to you soon.